Right, no, that's facts, that's facts. And of course, what God has planned for us, if we're obedient to Him, is a peaceful road rather than a rocky road. Now, if we're not obedient to Him, He has a rocky road planned for us. Because He's going to bring glory to His name regardless. If you want to be wicked, and people are going to be happy that I took the wickedness out the earth. You know, if you do righteousness, I'm going to preserve you. And then people are going to be happy that I preserved you, you know. So it's a good thing what you're saying on overcoming the lust, the anger, you know, what was the other addiction you said? It was a physical one. It was just on my heart. Yeah, and that's what you're working on. But you said you like it now because it's keeping you more focused, you know, that you're doing these things. And that's where the peace comes in at. That's where the salvation comes in at. So if you keep enduring and bettering your life, then that's when the Most High God is like, I'm going to send my son to keep working for him until the end. And then my son is actually going to call him up, you know, and say, yeah, man, this is my guy. What's your name? Christopher. Christopher's my guy, man. I rocks with Christopher, man. You know, he was promoting healthy living on earth through the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that I gave him, right? So go ahead and read me that.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 17, verse 30. And the times of this ignorance God winked at, but now commandeth all men everywhere to repent.
So it says, in the time of ignorance, God winks at our ignorance when we're ignorant. Ignorant means to not know, you know. He winks at us when we don't know we need to overcome bad habits. He winks at it, meaning just get a slap on the wrist, you know what I'm saying? But what, my fault? But once you actually know better, you know, that's when he really starts hitting you, you know? So with that being said, God winked at it, but now he called all men to repent. Now what does repent mean? Turn away, you know, to not do it no more. We can't just cry and say, God, forgive me, I'll repent, but yet you don't show him any action of repentance. I can't say, God, forgive me for weed, I'm never going to do it again, but I keep doing it, you know? That's not showing God that I really repented. True repentance is to say, God, I'm sorry, feel bad for what you did, and feel so bad that you never do it again, you know? And this is how we have to feel about bad habits that we have. Because our bad habits, our bad habits are bringing pain in our lives and those around us. And I'm tired of being selfish and bringing pain in people's lives. And I'm tired of bringing pain in my own life, you know? So I want to be that example of peace on earth. And I got to have peace with myself first, you know? So that's a good thing that you're understanding that. Get this precept.
This is the book of 1 John, chapter 3, verse 5. And yea, know that he was manifested to take, verse 4. Whoever committed sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law.
It says, whoever commits sin transgresseth the law, for sin is the breaking of God's law. How much laws is there that you know about of God? See, that's why we gotta start studying the Bible, right? This is, right. So ultimately, this is how you don't want your Bible to look.
I read this thing 8 times. There's not one page that you're not gonna see that's not highlighted. Before I came out here and started teaching, I made sure I read my Bible, page for page, couple, word for word. Once I did that, that's when God increased my knowledge and I was able to come out here and teach people, right? So you want to read this, you want to study this, just like you want a wife, right? One day? Most definitely, right? So off of you wanting a wife one day, you're going to want your wife to study you, right? You know, she's gonna have to know how you like your eggs, how you don't like your eggs, you know, what is it, what you like, what you don't like, you know. This is where the woman has to be taught how to be a wife, because not every man likes the same things. She has to be taught how to be a wife to that man, which means that she has to study that man. Vice versa, that man has to study her, you know, huh? And we're God's wife. And we're God's wife, you know? He calls us his wife, right? So we got to study these things, right? So the more you study it, the more you get knowledge of what not to do, what's going to bring happiness to God or what's going to piss him off, you know? And I'm tired of pissing God off, man. My arms ain't big enough to box with God, man. He stabbed me up once, had me get gutted, you know what I'm saying? He didn't put me homeless. He had my whole RV and all my stuff burnt up before, all because I wanted to box with him. And how did I box with him? By not wanting to better my life, by wanting to hold on to my bad habits that's bringing pain in other people's lives, you know. So keep getting rid of your bad habits and keep moving that way. Give me 1 Kings, and then this is where I ended off at. 1 Kings chapter 1 verse 2, and we're going to read on down. Whoever gets there first, let me know. So ultimately,
we're out here for Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians, right? Because Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians would be known as the Israelites that the Bible speaks of. America calls us these things, but God called us these names. You know, but the conquistador, when he came over, he wanted to brainwash us and divide and conquer. That's how Satan works, right? He divides and conquers. So he wanted to divide us from knowing who we are, that we're family. Got to break up the family. First Kings chapter 2. But with that being said, Satan had to divide us to conquer us. The way that he divided us is by calling us different names. You know, you're black. Ain't nobody the color of this shirt. I ain't this color. So that's disrespectful to call me black, one, you know. And then they call him white, or you're Native American, you know, or Native Indian. They're basically calling him a savage, a native savage. He ain't a native savage, man. Or you're Haitian. He's not a Haitian, you know what I'm saying? He's from the tribe of Levi. I'm not African American, I'm from the tribe of Judah, you know? He's not a Native American, he's from the tribe of Gad. And you, what's your dad's ethnicity? You haven't seen him? What would your dad, your mom call him? Mexican? Mexico, right? So you, being from your dad's bloodline, you would go back to the tribe of Issachar. This tribe right here, Issachar, right? You know, and that's why in Mexico they got a city called Issachar to commemorate their ancestors and where they come from, you know? A lot of people don't know these things, you know, because they don't want to dig into no history books and read. So ultimately we're out here for Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians, which are God's chosen people according to the Bible, known as the Israelites that the Bible speaks of. This is literally our history book, you know? And if we apply the knowledge that God gave our ancestors that's written in the history book, we're not going to have that gang violence with one another. We're not going to steal from one another. Our wives ain't going to treat us, our women ain't gonna treat us like they treat us now, and we ain't gonna treat our women how we treat our women, and we'll be able to influence the world to do what God said do, to live healthy once we start living healthy. Because everybody want to be us till the cops come, right? They want to salsa dance like us, you know what I'm saying? Want to listen to our music, all that, you know? So the elites knew that. The elites knew I gave my people the power to influence the earth. And we use that power, or we're using that power to influence wickedness on the earth. And it started with the evil people, which is the elites of this system, America, the other nations. They chose to conquer us and enslave us and use our power to influence their agenda through us. That's why we're the only people that make music about killing one another, selling dope to each other, etc. They don't use the Chinese to do that. They don't use the white people to do that, etc. They use us to do that. And now what is the world full of? The world is full of drama, chaos, war, and pain, because that's what we push in our music. That's what we push in our movies, etc. You know, and we're only pushing it because the elites of this system say, if you want to be rich, push my agenda. We got to stop that. We got to start pushing God's agenda, right? And this is what's going to bring peace on earth. But I just got two for you because he wanted to get a precept. He wanted to share something with you. I got two more for you, and I'm going to let you go. And once again, I appreciate your love, man. You know, go ahead.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 6 and 16. Thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths.
That says the Most High God to our ancestors and to us right now. He's saying, stand in the way and ask for the old path. Meaning, stand in the way means to look around you, look at life, and say, do I want to live in this modern way, or do I want to live back when my people were one? You know, I want to live back when my people were one, which means I got to go and see the knowledge of my ancestors, you know? And the knowledge of my ancestors is found in my ancestors' history book that they wrote, you know? And that would be the Bible. The Bible is our history book. I get so mad when they say, oh, it was man-made, the Bible was man-made. Yeah, every history book was man-made, man. They wrote down their accomplishments. Why can't Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians have a book that wrote down their accomplishments? We do. It's called the Bible, and all y'all love it. But yet you guys take away our identity out of it and don't let us know that this is our history book, you know? So with that being said, it says, stand in the way and ask for the old path. Go ahead.
Ask for the old paths, where is the good way, and walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls.
It says we'll find rest for our souls if we ask for the old way, which is the good path. That good path is so narrow that only one person finds it, you know? Broad is the way that leads to destruction, but narrow is the path that leads to life. That's what Jesus Christ said, right? So with that being said, you want to find this narrow path. This narrow path is the instructions of God. This narrow path is living how God said live, while everybody else is living how men said live. I ain't living how men said live no more, and I don't want that for you either, man. And I see that God's already drifting you back to the narrow path because you're overcoming things right now. And I want you to keep that discipline. I don't want to get too much precept because he's hungry. He wants to go and eat. You know what I'm saying? But give me, I wanted kings. I wanted kings. You know? Oh, you got it? Go ahead. So we got to ask for the old past. This is why I want you to start studying God. And how do you study God? By studying our ancestors that had a connection with God. They wrote down all the things that God showed them and all the accomplishments God gave them. Just like anybody else's, just like anybody.
We know. Yeah, we know.
Hold on. Don't even worry about that. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, damn. What was I saying real quick? Lost my train of thought. Oh, our ancestors wrote down this book. You know what I'm saying? Just like anybody else wrote down their history book. Yes, it was man-made. It was man-written, you know, but it was influenced by the creator of heaven and earth. Just like God put a spirit to influence the Mexican man to make the color TV. Did you know the Mexican man made the color TV? Yeah, y'all don't get credit for that at all. You know what I'm saying? But just like God did that, he gave us knowledge, you know what I'm saying, that we need to apply. And this is what we got to apply. Go ahead.
Start at verse 2.
This is the book of 1 Kings, chapter 2, verse 2.
So this is King David talking to King Solomon. You know about King David? King David killed Goliath. You ever seen Goliath and he got hit with the rock and stone? No, you see, you gotta get into your history, man.
Right. Well, that's what's up. You make good money there. But you're getting there. You're going about to get there. That's beautiful, bro. You know what I'm saying?
You create. So you creating, you have to know the laws, how things bend, the weight of how things hold. You got to know all that, right? In order to get the maximization out of what you're going to create and build, or someone's going to build, right? So it's the same way with the laws of God. That's why we're teaching you about what is sin, so that you understand what you can do, the weight that you can put on that body, the weight you can put on the Most High, and what you can't, right? That's what he's explaining.
That's beautiful, man, that you're an engineer, but we got to be an engineer of peace, you know, on this earth too, you know. But, and on top of that, I tell you, you get this knowledge, when you go to work, you ain't got to tell them that you're telling them the Bible, you know what I'm saying? All you got to do is just speak the wisdom that you've learned in this, and they're going to look at you and be like, damn, this guy's wise. I'm going to promote him. I'm going to put him here. I'm going to put him there. I do it all the time, you know. I sit over there and I talk to people, and people put me on a high level because of the wisdom I have. And they don't even know I'm saying the Bible. But once I tell them, hey, you know that's in the Bible, that's when their ear shuts down. That's why I don't tell them I'm telling them the Bible. I just give them the knowledge that I've learned out the Bible, you know, from our ancestors. Now go ahead and read that. So this is King David. I want you to study about this, man. It's powerful stuff right here, man. You know, I'm giving you the pistol so you can use it in your life, man. But with that being said, King David is talking to his son. Just like a father would talk to his son before he dies and tell him what's good for him, that's what King David is doing for his son Solomon. He's talking to his son Solomon to show Solomon what's good for him before he dies. Go ahead and read that again.
It's the book of 1 Kings, chapter 2, verse 2. I go all the way of the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man.
It's like a father would tell his son, man, be a man. I'm about to die, man. You need to be a man and stand on your 2 feet and 10 toes. Go ahead.
Huh?
Passing it down. Just like we're supposed to pass it down. But if it was taken from us, how can we pass this knowledge down? It was taken from our ancestors for us to know that we're Israelites. They beat it out of us in slavery. You know, in slavery, it was outlawed to call yourself what you truly was. You know, it was outlawed to say I'm a Jew. It was outlawed to say I'm an Israelite. You know, Mexicans couldn't walk around saying I'm from the tribe of Issachar. No, you're Mexican. You keep beating you until you say you're Mexican. You know, same thing with African Americans. I'm gonna beat you until you stop saying that you're Israelite and say that you're African American. So how can we pass the knowledge down if it was beat out of us? But it's a blessing because God said a prophecy is going to happen where he's going to send out his servants and his teachers to teach the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And these prophets and these teachers are not in these religious churches. These prophets and these teachers are brothers that taught me and these brothers up here too that about the Bible, actually start teaching the Bible. You see, I'm reading the Bible. I'm not just talking off of my neck, you know what I'm saying? Everything I speak about, I got a scripture to back up every time I start talking, you know? That's me teaching you the Bible, not just teaching you how I feel about the Bible, you know? But go ahead and read that.
So he goes all the way of the earth. You know what I'm saying? Be a man. How do we be a man?
Lion King's guys, man, remember who you are.
That's right. Big facts, man. Go ahead.
Be thou therefore strong, and show thyself a man, and keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways.
So that's how you present yourself a man, by keeping the instructions of the living creator of heaven and earth. He gave instructions to our ancestors that will make them move in a healthy and beneficial and prosperous way. You know, basically he showed them how to not commit sin, how to not move with bad habits and toxic ways. So this is how you can present yourself a man. A true man knows how to control his emotions. You know, a true man knows about discipline and has discipline in his life. You know, a true man is always seeking to better his life and better those around him. You know, but how are men? Our men are very emotional. A woman get angry, we start getting angry with this woman. You know what I'm saying? We don't know how to control our impulsive behavior, but we got to learn that. You know, and that's how we learn that is through the instructions of God. This is why I really need you to study, man, after today. Go ahead.
To walk in his ways, to keep his statutes and his commandments and his judgments and his testimonies.
So we got to keep his instructions. How am I going to keep the instructions if I don't study it? I got to study his instructions in order to do them, right? Go ahead.
As it is written in the law of Moses.
Law of Moses, and that's what they tell you in these religious churches. In these religious churches, they tell you the laws of Moses are done away with. They don't exist no more. Just believe in Jesus Christ and live how you want to live. He died for your sins so you could be a stripper on the pole. He died for your sins so you could be a homosexual on the street. That's basically what they're teaching in the churches. That's not what he's teaching, though. He didn't die for your sins for you to stay in it, because what we talk about, repent. You know, right. Repent means to turn away. He died for your sins, meaning I'm forgiving your bad habits right now. But if you continue in them and you make a habit out of them, me and you ain't cool. You know, if you don't get rid of your bad habits, man, I'm gonna see you with these hands. Basically, that's how God is talking, right?
God doesn't hear sinners.
God doesn't hear sinners. John chapter 7, verse 10. 10 and 30. Is it 10? 9 and 31. John 9 and 31.
Well, this is the book of John, chapter 9, verse 31. Now we know that God heareth not sinners.
It's one thing to commit a sin. It's another thing to be a sinner. You know, to commit a sin is to say I fell short. You know, I let my anger get the best of me, or I messed around and ate something that I wasn't supposed to eat, or I did something I wasn't supposed to do. But to be a sinner is to be a practicer of sin. You make a habit out of sin. You don't want to change it. Yeah, I know I ain't supposed to smoke these weeds and stuff, but I'm gonna keep smoking, and that's gonna be my lifestyle. You're making a practice out of sin. That's why God says, I don't hear sinners. I don't hear people's prayers that make a habit out of doing bad things. I hear people that are trying to get past their bad things, you know? Go ahead.
But if any man be a worshiper of God, and doth not his will, and doth him, but if any man be a worshiper of God, and doth his will, him he heareth.
God hears these prayers. Certain people don't get their prayers answered and they say, God's not real, he ain't answering my prayers. That's because you're doing things that he doesn't deserve. It requires patience too. That's another law. And man, I like this guy, man. You know what I'm saying? You're on the good track, man. Because it starts with the fruits of the spirit first before it starts with the culture. Our people are taught the culture first and not the spirit first, you know? You know, we got to be taught the spirit first and then we'll go into the culture, right? So like you said, it comes over time. You know, just like working out. Months before you start seeing results. That's the same thing with you not sinning anymore. You not breaking 613 plus laws of God. There's 613 plus commandments of God, not just 10, you know? You start following these things, then you're going to see the benefit in them over time, like you said, you know? So a person stops eating pork, they start seeing their body get better. A person stops eating the things that God said not to eat and eating the things that God says eat, and they see their health getting better, you know? I put the cigarette down, now I can see my lungs healing and me being able to run longer. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, it says that we have to read that again. I mean, God hears not the sinners, but him that doeth the will of God. My fault, I had to remember it. Him that does the will of God, that's who hears him. So people say that God's not real because he ain't answered my prayers, not knowing the reason why God didn't answer your prayer is one, probably you wasn't patient enough to see it. You know, that's one. Or two, because you're not doing nothing for that prayer to be answered. Like if you got kids and your kids is being disrespectful to you all the time, don't want to clean their room or anything like that, are you going to bless them with the PS3 and the PS5 that they want? No. Like, I'll give you food, clothes, and a raiment. You can stay in the house, but you ain't finna get that candy at the store that you wanted or that PlayStation 5. you know. But if you do what I ask you to do, I'll give you the PlayStation 5, the candy, and I'll buy you more gifts that you didn't even want, you know. That's how God is. He says, once you start being obedient to me, I'll give you what you ask for. But if you don't, then I don't hear you. This is why it frustrates me when I hear people say, God doesn't hear God ain't real because he didn't answer my prayer. Have you ever thought about you don't deserve that to be answered right now? You know? Huh? Okay.
This is the book of John. You don't want it? Okay. Now we know that God hears not sinners, but if any man be a worshiper of God and doth his will, him he heareth.
Psalms 40:8. I delight to do thy will, O my God. Yea, thy law is within my heart.
Thy law is the will of God. The law is the instructions of God. You know, that's what he wants us to do. So that's why I leave you off with, you said Christopher? It was a pleasure meeting you, Christopher. I'm Bayan, this is Yakana, and this is Rakoyai, right? Hey, yeah, huh? Most definitely, man, but you keep applying so that you can actually enjoy life and not the pain that is caused by the ways that they teach us, right? You got one more and then let them go.
Yeah. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1. It shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
God said this is going to happen. He's speaking to his people first. His people is the Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians that he's going to use to bring peace on earth by giving them rulership of the earth, you know? But first we got to learn how to have peace with each other before God gives us this rulership of the earth to bring peace upon it first, you know? So God says if we listen to his commandments and start treating each other according to his commandments, this is what he's going to do.
To observe and to do all his commandments which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations. Above all nations.
No, I'm going to make you equal with all nations.
Set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
I said I'm going to put rulership. That's what it means to be set on high above everybody on the earth. You're going to have rulership. Just like where Donald Trump is above everybody on the earth right now, and the Jewish people are above everybody on earth right now, that's what God is saying to his people. Once you start thinking right and living right, then I'm going to take you from the bottom of the barrel and I'm going to put you at the top of the barrel, you know? It doesn't mean that you're supposed to treat each other, everybody else like they're nothing, they ain't spit. No, it means you got a job to do. And your job is to show everybody how to move in harmony with one another. That's your job. But I'm going to do that once you guys start listening. God doesn't need all of us to listen. He only needs 1/3 of Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That would be 144,000 and a great multitude. Once they start listening, that's when God's going to send his son back and bring peace upon the earth. You have a good day, Christopher. Enjoy your food, man.
It's a trickle-down effect. It's a trickle-down effect. The same way that Christ taught his disciples and his people, the same way that our nation, the 12 sons of Israel, the Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are going to get right, and they're going to teach the world.
That's right, man. And it's a beautiful thing, man. And once we start teaching the world, once Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians wake up and realize that they're the Israelites that the Bible speaks of and starts teaching the world the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of God, this is how people are going to look at us. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 5 to 6 on down. Deuteronomy chapter 4, verses 5 to 6, you know. It's a beautiful thing once we're about to get this recognition in a healthy way rather than looked at in a bad way. We get recognition in a bad way. Everybody looks at us like, oh, there goes those thugs and those thieves and those pimps and those prostitutes, man. You know, the promoters of it. You know, look at Kanye West and what is that, Gorilla and Sexy Red and what is it, Cardi B and Jay-Z, etc., man. They're not looked at in a good way like that, man. They're looked at in a bad way. They're looked at like circus animals, you know, like clowns in a way, man. Something that entertains you. We're not going to be looked at as something that is to be entertaining to people anymore. No, we're going to be looked at as something to be glorified, something for everybody to look up to. Just like at one point in time, everybody looked up to the white people and said, damn, I want to be like the white man, and so on and so forth. One day, everybody's going to want to be like the Black, Hispanics, and Native Indians in totality, man. And that's what this says. Go ahead and read this. Once we start teaching God's knowledge, wisdom, and understanding and applying it to our lives properly as a whole, this is how God's going to make the whole earth view us and look at us.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me.
So Moses said, I taught you the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, the instructions of our Father. And he commanded me to teach you guys the instructions. You being his children, you need to learn the instructions of your father. I'm big brother right now, and I'm telling the little kids, you know, my little children, you know, my brothers and sisters, keep the commandments of God. This is the instructions of our Father. Go ahead.
Behold, I have taught you statutes, even and judgments, even as the Lord my God had commanded me, that you should do so in the land whither you go to possess it.
God told us through Moses, you know, our ancestor, and he told Moses to tell all of our other ancestors that you find in the Bible before we got the Holy Land, that when you get into the land, you're supposed to follow the instructions of your Father. You're supposed to follow the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of God. But did our people do that? No. They got the land, they followed it for a certain period of time, and then said, nah, forget that. We want to live like wild animals like everybody else. We want to start raping our women in God's holy land. We want to start pimping out our women in God's holy land, man. We want to start being homosexuals in God's holy land, man. We want to actually be evil and kill our people in God's holy land. When God told us to do none of those things, you know? Go ahead and give me a precept.
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 145, verse 18. The Lord is nigh unto all them that call unto him.
He said he was near unto all of us that called upon him at one point in time. And we called upon him through our actions, not just through our speech. Our actions is how we're really calling to God. When you actually do what God said do, that's you calling him. That's you telling him, I love you and I want to follow you, and can you hear my prayer? That's why the brother read earlier, God hears not the prayers of sinners. That means you can't call. You ain't got God's number if you're a practicer of sin. If you practice bad habits and toxic ways, aka sins, you don't have the number to call God. But when you actually practice the law, statutes, and commandments of God, now you can call Yahweh. Go ahead.
The Lord is nigh unto all that call upon him, to all that call upon him in truth.
So you gotta call upon him in truth and sincerity, man. You know, you call upon him in truth by you applying the truth to your life, which is God's law, statutes, and commandments. That's when he hears your prayers. That's when you're calling to him. You don't even got to pray and ask him for anything, because you're already calling and asking things for him just by your actions, man. So he knows what you need before you need it. That's why Jesus Christ said, you only need to say the Lord's Prayer. Other than that, you don't really got to pray to me and ask me for things, because God already knows what you want before you want it. I'm not saying it's not okay to pray to God. No, you can keep asking him for things and praying to him, but ultimately just know your Father knows what you want already and what you need already. Go ahead.
He will fulfill the desire of them that fear him.
God will fill the desires of those that respect him. You know, when you respect God by keeping his law, statutes, and commandments, he gives you the desires of your heart. You might desire a good wife, and God will give you that wife. You just got to learn how to be patient, man. You just got to learn how to sit back and better your life and worship God and watch him give you your wife. Stop crying about, damn, I ain't got a wife, I ain't got this. Stop crying about a job, dang, I ain't got this, I ain't got that. Stop crying about things, man. Just worship the God, seek the kingdom of heaven, and he will give you the desires of your heart. He knows what you want, he knows what you desire, and he knows what you're calling for and what you're asking for. So fear him and respect him and watch him give you what he wants to give you when he wants to give it. Go ahead.
He also will hear their cry and will save them.
And he'll hear your cry and save you from your bad habits and toxic ways, and from other people's bad habits and toxic ways. You will be saved from these evil people, man. You will be saved from the evilness that's within you, man. You know, and that's a beautiful thing. Is there more on that?
Verse 20. The Lord preserveth all them that love him.
God preserves those that love him, man. And how do you love him? By keeping his commandments, by keeping his instructions. When you keep God's instructions, you're preserving your life, man. Would you agree with that, brother? Keep God's commandments, you preserve your life. You know, he said, get rid of your anger issues. That'll preserve your life. He said, eat right. That'll make you not be in and out of these hospital with high blood pressure, you know. His instructions keeps you alive longer, you know.
Go ahead.
The Lord preserveth all them that love him, but all the wicked will he destroy.
But all those that want to hold on to their bad habits, they're going to be destroyed by their bad habits. They're going to be destroyed by their toxic ways. Get rid of your bad habits and your toxic ways that is bringing pain in your life and those around you. Stop being selfish, man. You're the one that's bringing pain in your own household because of your bad habits, man. I heard a girl say, I'm going to fight for my husband. And she said, what I mean by fighting for my husband is fighting to better my life. That's what she said. I said, I like a woman like that, man. I'm going to fight for my husband by fighting for my life and overcoming my bad habits. Go ahead and give me that.
Enjoy that food, Christopher.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 7. Ask and it shall be given you.
It says, ask the Most High God and he'll be giving you. You know, and it's literally talking about those that obey him. If you're obeying him, you can ask. How dare you ask God for something and you're spitting in his face? How dare you have the audacity to ask the living creator of heaven and earth for anything when you ain't doing nothing for him? That's like somebody asking you for something, but they punch you out all the time and they don't listen or respect you, you know? How dare you have the audacity to ask me for anything? That's how God speaks. But if you listen to me, and then I'll hear you. What you ask for, I'll give you. Go ahead.
Ask and it shall be given you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be opened unto you.
And this is the protocol to get what you ask for. A lot of people don't even know and see this secret and this mystery that Jesus Christ was speaking in this parable right here. You know, in this saying that he was saying. He said, first ask and then seek. How do you ask? First you got to ask God, I want to get rid of my bad habits. Then you got to show him that you really want to get past it by you seeking it. By you seeking it, right? Then he'll hear you knocking on the door. When he sees you're truly trying to overcome your bad habit, that's when he gives you the power to overcome it. When he sees you're truly trying to overcome your sin, that's when he gives you the power to overcome your sin. Just like when you truly try to find a job, you find a job. When you truly try to find a wife, you find a wife. This is the same thing with you truly wanting something from God. You got to show God you really deserve it and you really desire it by you really seeking it. You really trying to obtain it. Then God hears it and gives it to you. And that's you being obedient to him. Go ahead.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 24. And the Lord commands us to do all these statutes, to fear the Lord our God for our good always.
God commands us to fear him, to respect him for our good always, man. It's good to respect God's knowledge. It's good to respect your parents. So now look at God as your ultimate parent because he's the one that created your parents. You know, respect God. You know, he commands us to respect him and to listen to him and obey his commandments. Go ahead.
That he might preserve us alive.
Because he knows that his instructions will preserve your life. He knows that his instructions is salvation. His instructions is your health, is your aid, is your welfare. That's what God's instructions are. And he knows this. This is why he tells you respect me and follow it and you won't get hurt. Just like you tell your kids, don't touch the stove and you won't get burnt, you know? Don't touch the wall socket and you won't get electrocuted. The Most High God is saying, don't do X, Y, and Z and you won't go through pain and agony.
The Lord commands us to do all these statutes, to fear the Lord our God for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, as it is this day.
As it is this day, he's still preserving us alive.
And it shall be our righteousness.
And it's going to be our righteousness, man. You know, he's going to preserve our life, and he's been preserving our life as it is this day. And that's what's going to be our righteousness, our actions, and our good actions that we produce. And the things that it produces is going to be our righteousness. People are going to see the benefit that comes with you overcoming your anger issue. Because they're going to look at your life and see how your anger issues ain't destroying you no more. They're going to see the benefit that comes with you not smoking anymore. They're going to see the benefit that comes with you having wisdom on how to guide your household and you're building up your children and your wife to move in a righteous way. They see these things. And that's your righteousness, man, to them. You know, that's God's righteousness being shown to them through you applying God's laws to your life and it making you live in a righteous way. Give me Deuteronomy, back to Deuteronomy. You know, like I said, the nations is going to look at us once we do these things. And we're going to bring peace on earth. And when we bring peace on earth, the nations are going to look at us and they're going to say this about us. Go ahead and give me some.
That's multiplying the talents.
That's right. You want to multiply your talents, man. You know, you don't just overcome one bad habit and don't use those good attributes that you use to overcome more bad habits. No, you keep overcoming more and more bad habits. You keep putting in more and more work, and then this is where you get more money. You want more money at work, you got to put in more hours, man. You know. So if you want more, if you want to produce more out of your life, you got to put more into your life, man. You got to work on yourself more.
As well as being a good influence with those actions. Behold, Deuteronomy 4 and 5 again. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that you should do so in the land whither you go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nation.
Like the brother just read, it's going to be our righteousness. Us fearing God and following what he said do is going to be our righteousness. That's why it said, keep therefore and do them. Do the commandments of God. Don't just read them. Don't just go and speak about them to people, but actually apply it to your life. Because once you apply it to your life, this is what's going to be your knowledge and your wisdom in the sight of the nations. Everybody's going to see you and say, this guy is wise. That person tried to piss him off, and he had self-control. He had patience, and he knew how to make this person defuse from anger. He knew how to defuse the evil spirit that was on him, man. You know, they start saying this guy is wise. You know, you start working for clubs. Say, for instance, you're a security guard. You start working for clubs and applying God's knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in that club of trying to calm down situations of people trying to fight, and then the boss looks at you and says, oh man, that security guard is wise. That security guard was able to stop a riot. That security guard was able to keep people at peace with one another, man, because of the wisdom that you used and you applied to defuse situations, man. Same thing with people are going to look at you as a wise and understanding person when you're actually getting that good, healthy body and staying strong and moving forward, man. Go ahead. This is the book of Proverbs. How you feeling, God? You feel good? You believe in God? You believe in God? You got time to hear one verse? How you don't? Tribe of Issachar, so you already know, hey man, you better war up, man. He came over and said Tribe of Issachar, man. I can't hear a verse, but Tribe of Issachar. Man, you better do something with that pistol. Brother got the pistol and don't know how to use it.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 1, verse 15. My son, walk not thou in the way of them. Refrain thy foot from their path. Walk not thou in the way with them.
Don't walk in the way of sinners, man. Don't walk and follow the crowd. The crowd is leading to the slaughterhouse. The crowd is ready to jump off the building and die, man. Don't walk with them. Don't continue to follow the ways of America. Don't continue to break God's laws with everybody else, man. Walk not with them, man. You know, keep God's laws, statutes, and commandments.
Refrain thy foot from their path.
Refrain your foot from their path. And then they're going to realize that your path is the wise path and their path is not wise. That's why it just now said it's going to be your knowledge and wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations. How can you be looked at as wise and understanding in the sight of the nations if you're following the nations? No, you got to start following the Most High God and being that leader. And then they start following you because you stop walking in their path and you start walking in God's path. Go ahead.
Chapter 2. My son, if thou wilt receive my words and hide my commandments with thee, so thou incline thy ear to wisdom and apply thy heart to understanding.
We got to hide these laws with us, meaning take a hold of them. You hide your treasure. You don't let anybody just get your treasure. You don't let anybody just take away your money and stuff. You hide it in a place that nobody can find. And that's what it's talking about the laws. You got to hide the laws, statutes, and commandments in your mind. Doesn't mean don't teach them and don't preach them and don't apply them. No, you put it in a place to where nobody can take it from you. You can't let nobody persuade you to want to do evil, man. Once you overcome the evilness that you've been doing, you make yourself strong to where nobody can influence you to do opposite.
How you doing, sis?
Then.
Huh?
Who is not you? You have a check? You got a check? You get it up. Cubana.
Oh, Cubana. Do I have incense? It's right there.
Bueno, cuando you little boy, I'll take you lazy.
Yeah, we have incense. The incense right there.
Así peso mi mente con many days.
You've been seeing this in Vegas.
The clock. For many years, you little boy, pero así people like you.
So they tell you that you're an Israelite, right?
Huh?
So the people that are like us, Did they tell you that
Ya
you're?
es la que nací de color, la que diferente colores,
Oh,
Yeah.
purple. Purple and gold?
que cantan el marketing.
Yeah, they're purple.
Ajá, el marketing.
So they told you that. So they told you that you're a child of God, right? They told you you're an Israelite, right? Que eres un israelita.
Are you seen me?
No.
Have you never seen me?
No, es el primero vez, pero ¿sabes qué tribu tú eres?
Soy cubana.
Sí.
Pero acá en América es que nací en Telecom.
I know.
Pero cantan tipo, dicen que ni tan
No, that's right. Yeah, they say we crazy, but we know crazy, you know?
Pero son de diferentes country. Olvídate más. Don't do that.
Right.
Don't do that. Sometimes people dicen, mira, he's crazy. After they don't do
Yeah,
that.
but they said that about Jesus Christ. They said that about the prophets of old. They're all crazy. They call crazy Noah crazy until it start raining. I'll get on that boat. Call me crazy all you want, because I know that I ain't.
Pero dice que cuando everybody come out of different countries, don't go out of church.
Yeah, these people.
Olvídate que people talk too much, pero don't do that.
That's right.
Don't do that.
That's right.
Don't do that. Vete a América. Vete black people America.
Right, no, you're good.
Pero deja que people talk to you. You don't care. Okay? We I love you everybody.
Most definitely. Got you. You got
I
to.
love you everybody. You got a one and pray for extra?
That paper.
Give me one.
I don't got none.
Pero acá es con many years aquí en Manchester.
Magan Street over there, they were teaching over there. Right.
¿Lo quieren en inglés o español?
Spanish.
Lo mismo que
Spanish.
entiendo en español, pero hablo inglés.
Ahí está.
Lo que pasa es que mi inglés
Poquito.
tengo que la gasolina regla. Ay, pero vea que
Silly duff, for real.
Y everybody show.
I got you. I got you.
Thank
You have a good one, sis.
Bye,
Bye bye.
Ay, mira,
Yeah, man. Ephraim and Manasseh, man. Silly doves like a bug, man. You gotta love them, man. You gotta love them, man. Love the energy. It's beautiful, man. You know.
All right.
You know. So let's get back to these scriptures real quick. Go ahead.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 1, verse 20. Wisdom creepeth out. She uttereth her voice in the
It
streets.
says wisdom crieth without, you know, and uttereth her voice in the streets. And that's what's going on right now, man. The Most High God's wisdom is always crying out to you. In every situation you go through, you could choose to do a wise choice or a foolish choice, man. And wisdom is always crying without. Even through the prophets of old, as well as the prophets and the teachers of now, like me. I'm crying out the wisdom of God to you guys. I'm saying the wisdom of God says to love your neighbor as you love yourself. I'm telling you the wisdom of God says to have discipline, to have patience, to have self-control, to seek joy and peace with one another, man. To seek love with each other, man. To be gentle and kind and long-suffering with each other. That's the wisdom of God crying out. I'm telling you to put down your bad habits and your toxic ways. Put down your sins, man, and actually come to doing things that will preserve your life and make you live right, man. Put down that shrimp, that crab, the pork, and the lobster that has your abuelito and abuelita in and out of the hospital. You know, I don't want you guys in and out of the hospital. So stop doing things that push you in and out of the hospital. Follow the wisdom of God, man. You know, I'm telling you to have the wisdom to love your wife and be long-suffering and understanding with your wife. Love your husband and be long-suffering and understand your husband, man. Love your brother and sister by being long-suffering and understanding them and how they move, man. And learning how to communicate with them properly, man. You know, I'm teaching you the wisdom of God that cries without, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I get it. Wisdom crieth out. She uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief places of the concourse.
And we're crying in the chief place of concourse. Chief place of concourse is where the 7-Eleven's at, where the Walgreens is at, you know, where the health department is at, where the Denny's is at, because everybody is visiting these places. Everybody goes to this place. So we're crying where everybody's at, man, telling them to keep the laws of God. Hey, what's up, brother? How you feeling, man? Brother, hermano. How you feeling, brother? Viva IT? IT? IT.
I don't know if I got a
Jamie Vlogs.
Why do you have to take that and say that on the mic?
But with that being said, bro, we got to keep the laws of God. No folly, no folly. We got to keep the laws of God, man, you know, because it's crying without in the chief place of concourse, man. We're out here giving this knowledge, this wisdom, this understanding to all of our people, man, trying to tell them to depart from the evilness that they do. Give me Job. You give me Job. You give me Job chapter 28, verse 28. And let's keep reading that. No, he's going to get that. Go ahead and read that.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 1, verse 20. Wisdom crieth out without. She uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief places of concourse. In the opening of the gates, in the cities, she uttereth her words in sayings.
That's what we're doing. The same thing as Jesus Christ and the disciples and all the mighty righteous prophets of old. We're uttering the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of God in the chief place where everybody's at.
How long will ye simple ones? How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity?
We're saying, how long will you love your toxic ways and bad habits? How long will you be simple-minded into not wanting to change the things that is bringing pain in your life, man? How long, you simple ones, will you love simplicity? That's basically saying, how long will you want to stay ignorant and not better your life? That's what we're asking our brothers and sisters. How long do you want to be a gangbanger that doesn't produce anything in your life? How long do you want to be a pimp or a prostitute that doesn't bring anything prosperous or anything healthy in your life, man? How long do you want to continue to keep doing things that is destroying you? Go ahead.
How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in scorning.
And you're turning into a scorner, delighting in your scorning. A scorner is somebody that mocks and whips somebody and makes fun of them, man. You're delighting in your scorning, man. You know, you delight in making fun of others' growth. You delight in making fun of others that are trying to better their life. How long are you going to be like this, man? You know, go ahead.
And fools hate knowledge.
And how long are you going to continue to move in a foolish way by showing that you hate knowledge? By you not wanting to study or read or even wanting to stop and listen to the mighty righteous teachers and vessels of the Most High God, you know, you're showing that you hate knowledge, man. You know, and then you want to get mad when a brother try to give you knowledge. Like he's acting like he thinks he's better than you. No, it's not that he thinks he's better than you. It's just you're being intimidated at something that you don't know nothing about. All you got to do is study. All you got to do is read and actually obtain knowledge, and you won't be a fool. You won't be out here shaking your ass for some cash, man. You won't be out here pimping anybody out, man. You won't be out here gunning people down and finding yourself 6 feet deep in the ground. You won't be out here finding yourself getting locked up in jail because you actually got knowledge. You actually got wisdom. You actually applied understanding to your life, man. You know? Go ahead.
Turn you at my reproof.
We got to turn at God's reproof, God's correction. God allows you to go through the BS that you do, and he allows your bad habits to bring pain into your life, man, so that it will correct you. He's trying to show you that your bad habits and toxic ways is not good for you. By allowing your bad habits and your toxic ways bring pain in your life, you know? And then once you realize, damn, this is God allowing me to get hit. This is God allowing my bad habits and toxic ways to put me in bad positions. So God is saying, turn at my reproof. Turn away when I'm trying to correct you, man. When I'm trying to tell you to stop doing evil, turn from it.
Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you.
He said, turn at my reproof, turn at my correction, and I will pour my spirit out unto you. The Holy Spirit will come upon you and influence you and empower you to overcome your bad habits and toxic ways, aka sins. It will empower you to put on your fringes. It will empower you to stop eating shrimp, crab, pork, and lobster. It will empower you to seek joy and peace and happiness with your brother, man. It will empower you to not give up so easily on yourself or your brother, man. He'll pour out his spirit unto you, the Holy Spirit unto you, and then he will make known his words unto you, man. He will make known his words unto you by showing you how beautiful they are for you to do. That's good on that.
Give me Deuteronomy 28. Job 28, verse 28.
It's the book of Job, chapter 28, verse 28. And unto man he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom.
It says to respect God. The fear of the Lord is wisdom. To respect God is wisdom, man. And when you respect him, you start doing what he says do. And God gives you the power of the Holy Spirit to influence you to keep moving in a healthy way, man. To keep moving in a way that is pleasing in his sight, man. Go ahead.
That is wisdom. And to depart from evil is understanding.
And to depart from evil is understanding. That's why it says good understanding comes to those that depart from evil, man. Good understanding comes to those that keep the commandments. So when you depart from breaking God's laws and actually start to follow God's laws, you start to get a good understanding of why God's laws is good for you, man. You start understanding why putting down shrimp, crab, pork, and lobster is good for your body. You start understanding why being long-suffering and not giving up so easily on yourself and on things you do and on those around you is good for you. You start understanding why it's very important for you to actually study and read and accumulate this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that we find in the Bible. You understand it because you started to apply it to your life. So you started to understand why it is so important for you to do, man. You know, this is why I really think that our people, I really know that our people need these things. How you guys doing? You guys believe in God? You got time to hear one thing about God or not? Okay. Hey, remember, love's an action. Always remember that. Somebody say they love you and then say not right now, they don't really love you, you know? So if you love God, you really got to give God time. You can't just say it. Love is not just a speech. It's not just a word. It's not just a feeling. It's an action. And we got to show the actions that we love somebody. We can't just say it. We got to actually show it, man. You know? So I hope those sisters on their own time actually give God some time and actually read or study something, man. Or actually get rid of a bad habit that they might have, you know? That's you showing God that you love him, you know? But with that being said, man, I'm going to yield and let another brother come up here and speak, man. It's a beautiful thing to come up here and teach and preach, man, but I need a little breath, you know?
You want to get down?
I want to stretch my back.
You want to get down? One of y'all got to get down, man. I'm not out here by myself. All right, no. So Rockwell, I going to get down.
That's why I jumped off, my back is locking up.
I got you. Got to move around.
Yep.
Good. Does it say Sakari on there?
Yeah.
I'm about to give you our flyers. If you could redo them one day, that'd be nice.
I mean, oh yeah, but you know, I was in the spirit this morning. I was like, let me grab whatever I got. They just sitting there.
Like I said, if you could redo them and just put our name on them.
Probably not. Do that. What I could probably do is just like, when you cut this out and the neighbor also doesn't have their info.
Nah, why not just redo it? You have your own.
So what am I going to do with this? Throw them away?
After you redo them, yeah. Or just give them out to their phone. I'll give them out to their phone.
That's what I was going to do.
But I would actually redo it though, like I did my flyer.
I'm going to do what you got.
I still need Spanish ones. That's why I said
Oh,
if you
okay.
could do a Spanish one, that'd be nice.
Matter of fact, let me go ahead. Remember, I was collecting flyers. Look, I got a book with these flyers. Remember? I collected flyers, so
I don't know how to redo it, but I'll try.
well, that was easy.
I don't know how to do it. I'm the one with the other flyer.
I know some of these guys. I'm the one on them. Yeah, this whole thing is Spanish. This whole thing's Spanish.
We got an hour and a half. I was prepared, man.
All right, God, all praises.
Hallelujah.
First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praises to the Most High God. We do so in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus the Christ. Real name Yahushua in the Paleo-Hebrew. Hebrew Israelites, chosen 12 and friends right here. Got friggin' Judah on my side, and I got Levi on my right. You know what it is, man. So we come out here hoping to dispense some knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to our people on a weekly basis. Hoping to drop something that might give some insightfulness, might give some spiritual food, might give some food for thought, as they say, etc., etc.
So I want to get Proverbs 23 and Matthew 5 and 6.
You know, it was actually an interesting point that my brother brought out, talking about how, yeah, get this knowledge and it's essentially stored within your mind, but don't just keep it in your mind. In fact, that same thing was said more or less in Matthew chapter 5, but we'll get there. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But it's talking about gaining all that knowledge, keeping it in your head, retaining it in your head, but not just keeping it locked in there, but instead dispensing it freely. Might be a little bit of a short lesson, but you know, the Spirit just got put on me that, you know, it's kind of just like a little revelating, you know? I want to bring that chain of precepts together, just so that way it becomes a little bit more clear to people. So when we have this truth, we don't keep it locked up. And on top of that, if it's a truth that can be dispensed freely, because as it says in Deuteronomy, that in Deuteronomy 30, that the knowledge is not put off far from us. We don't have to go up to the heavens to find it. And we don't have to go to the bottom of the ocean to find it.
That's right.
You know? That knowledge is dispensed freely to those who pass it on from their parents to their children, as it was commanded again in Deuteronomy 4 and 9, talking about how pass it down to your sons, pass it down to your sons' sons, and so on and so forth. Keep that instruction the same way that Adam, the first man of spirit, was also given task and charge over the earth. And that's our same charge. So let's get that in Proverbs 23.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 23, verses 23. Buy the truth and sell it not.
Buy the truth, sell it not. What does that mean? It means that, yeah, get the truth any way you can, but once you have it, don't turn it around for profit. You know, I got family over here, man, why don't you just make a church and make a bunch of money the same way every other church does? I'm like, that's not the point.
Right.
You know, you want to say, why don't I just do it for lucrative means? That's not the point. There are more riches that can be found in this book than anything that I can make here in America.
That's right.
I'll tell you right now.
It says, buy the truth and sell it not. Also, wisdom and instruction and understanding.
Wisdom, instruction, understanding. So, wisdom, instruction, and understanding. These are abstract concepts, and yet they are there abundantly. They're there more. There's more wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that you can get out of this book than this whole damn world could print from chopping down every last tree. And when you get this, you don't sell it. It's freely given. And why not? Up until capitalism came around, man, you could just chop down a tree and make a house. You could just plant up a tree and pick some fruit. Land used to be free like that, you know, before the colonizer came over. So, buy the truth and sell it not. Get it however you can, and then dispense it freely, because that's how it should be done. And we'll get to just how freely it can be dispensed. And we'll get to just how that does for others.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 6. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled.
An abstract concept. We hunger and we thirst. You know, every human being does that. That's naturally a thing that's going on. But we hunger and we thirst for righteousness. There's got to be something. Everybody has felt like that in some way. Personally, own testimony, we felt like that in some kind of way. You know, growing up, I just came up with my own philosophy, man. You know, just do right by others, but do right by yourself, you know. Be good unto others, but at the same time, don't end up getting used up and suckered up, man. And you know what? And that's a will, and again, that's a zeal, like Romans 10 would say,
It's a zeal, but it's not according to knowledge. What is good? How do you be good? You know? And we know now, with the truth, in Matthew 19, that there was none good but the Most High. So now we know better. So we get this truth, and we freely dispense it. We freely dispense that desire to be good. We freely dispense that hunger and that thirst. We get that filled up by knowing the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the Most High God. When we hunger and we thirst for righteousness, we learn about this so that way we can have that foundation, that structure. And as I always say, we're out here and we are severely imbalanced. Everybody out here that is not following and doing his will is just about the carnal aspects of life. Romans 7, talking about we're about that aspect of life where people are just caught up in the carnality, but nobody is really tapping into the spiritual aspects and the spirit. And we know that the law is spiritual, so therefore everybody's just worried about their day-to-day stuff, but they ain't working on their spirit, and that's the messed up part of it. But anybody who is out there who is hungering and thirsting for righteousness, you can find it right here in the book. And it can show you what you need to do, so that way you can fulfill that spiritual aspect of you somewhere deep down inside that says, I want to do right. I want to do good. I want to serve for righteousness' sake. I want to come back to the Most High God. There is something that is nudging your spirit to want to do right. You just don't know how. And that's why this is here. That's why this truth that is easily accessible, that you don't have to go high or low to get it, it's right here. And it should be freely given.
Verse 14. Ye are the light of the world. A city that is set on the hill. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house.
Naturally, once you get your candle lit up and you find that flame, then that light is going to be given unto all that are in the house. It's just something that's naturally going to reverberate off of each other. You know, you're that drop that falls in a body of water and you make those waves. You make an influence. And just as we've been talking to people earlier, we are an influential people. Just by our habits alone, just by our deeds alone, just by keeping and doing the will of the Most High God, by keeping His commandments, we will make a positive influence on the rest of the world. We're an influential people. Now it's just time, as I said, to fulfill that hunger and thirst for righteousness. Now it's time to find out what to do right, so that way we can set the world right. And we do that through His mighty righteous ways that were written and given to our forefathers aforetime.
Good.
Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your good works, and glorify your Father which is in heaven.
And that's what it comes down to. We let our lights shine before men so that they can see our good works. And we can glorify our Father which is in heaven, because He is the one that has given us these law, statutes, and law, statutes, and commandments. He's the one that's given us these instructions since aforetime, since the days of Adam, the first human being, or whichever, the first nation of humans, however you want to see it, that He gave wisdom and spirit and understanding to. So if we have this understanding, then we can get this understanding out the book. Then we can understand, and then we can therefore keep these statutes, keep these laws, and we can do righteously unto others. And in that, you know, it's just like that movie, Pay It Forward. Somebody does something for you, but instead you don't have to pay him back. Just go do right to somebody else. Just go keep that righteousness and let that light shine unto other people, and that'll light them up. Candles light candles.
That's right.
Iron sharpens iron.
That's right.
And that's how we need to be. Let our mighty righteous actions have good influence to the rest of the world.
Think not that I have come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
And that's the prophecy that Yahushua had to fulfill.
And that's not to say that, and like he said, the law is not destroyed. He came to fulfill the law, and that still doesn't mean that it's over with. It just means that he came to fulfill. Example, the book of Numbers. What was it? Make fringes upon the borders of your garment with a ribbon of blue, and let that be a perpetual commandment unto generations. Okay, so it's a perpetual commandment, which means that it's going to be endlessly fulfilled. There will never be a moment where it goes away. But I digress. Back to the point, is that anybody who hungers and thirsts for righteousness, we seek it, and that knowledge is freely given. Especially when you are fulfilling these actions when you're fulfilling this through your actions. And your actions have an effect on those around you. Therefore, it is an influence, and that influence inspires others to do the same. We can only hope, because there's a lot of people out here. There's a lot of people out here who may be struggling. They may not be able to get it done today. They may not be able to get it done tomorrow. They might not even be able to get it done next month or 6 months down the line, maybe even 2 years down the line. There are some of us who were able to transition into this truth within at least 3 months, 6 months. Some brothers that wanted to fight on this for maybe 3 years. But everybody gets there in their appointed time, or they don't. You know, only Lord knows. We can only do what it is that we're commanded to do, but it is not up to us.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 55, verse 8.
For my thoughts,
Just don't shove it down my throat. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, saith the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts.
Naturally. There's, as it says, what does it say? That God has a plan for everyone, right? But naturally, we're not going to be able to know what that end goal is. We're just human minds. We have no comprehension. We could set a life goal for ourselves, and life still probably won't work out that way. Because we never know. We never know what the future holds in store for us. All of those people who, unfortunately, as of lately, all of those people who got friggin' deported out of the country, whether they were citizens or not, all those people who got deported out of the country, whether they were citizens or not, you know, maybe they didn't see that coming, you know. People out here who end up getting head-on collisions, people out here who end up getting gunned down in an alleyway, you know, people don't see it coming. You can have your whole life set up, and then you still don't see the next event coming. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow. So at the very least, it's not just how we live, but, you know, it's not just about what it is we want to do, but it's how we live and on the way there. Even if it's a short lifespan. But at the very least, seek life while you still can. Don't just seek death. Besides, that's what the law, statutes, and commandments are for. Saying that he set before us life and blessing, death and cursing. Therefore choose life. Anything could be an accident. For any reason, somebody could end up in the back of an ambulance. As Deuteronomy said, our lives hang in doubt. That much is clear. But as long as we're at least doing what he said, do that is good and conducive for our life, then at the very least, we're trying to avoid a couple of potholes.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verses 6. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled.
And as long as we hunger and thirst for righteousness, that emptiness in our lives, that lack of spirituality shall be filled. And those that do desire this, and those that find this out, Lord willing that they do, you're going to be on your way to prolonging your life.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 24. And the Lord commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear the Lord our God for our good always, that he might preserve us alive, as it is this day. And it should be our righteousness, if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God, as he hath commanded us.
And as long as we do what he has commanded us, that he has passed down to Moses, that he has passed down to his people, it shall be our righteousness. But we got to fulfill that first.
Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be fulfilled. For they shall be filled.
So it should be our righteousness. And as long as we hunger and thirst for that righteousness, that's what we're going to get. As it says, ask and you'll receive. Seek and you'll find. Knock on that door and it shall be given to you. As long as we seek the kingdom, as it says, all else shall be added unto us. So as long as we put the Most High first, like we were always supposed to do, anything else you want in life, he'll give it to you in its appointed time. Because, you know, a big part of learning these scriptures, a big part of living this life of righteousness is having, what do they say in Revelation 14? The patience and the faith of the saints. So, that's a big part of it. However life ain't working out right now, it'll work out eventually. And that's a big part of faith, is believing that it'll work out eventually. Especially if you're keeping the commandments. Especially if you're keeping that patience and that faith.
This is the book of John, chapter 14, verses 13.
When it comes to hungering and thirsting after righteousness, how much more can we build on that? How much more does Yahushua expound on that?
It says, Jesus answered and said unto her, whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again.
When Yahushua met up with that woman from, what was it again? The Samaritan woman. And she was what? People believe she was Northern Kingdom? Gone. So, when Jesus met up with that Samaritan woman, or was it Samaritan? Samaritan. Okay, make it true. Right. So, when Jesus met up with her, he asked her for some water, and they got to debating a little bit. But he said, you know, it's not just about the water. He said, anybody who's gonna get thirsty is always gonna thirst again. That's just a part of life. But there's a water here that is going to be worth more than anything. The same way that I said there is riches in this book worth more than any tree could print.
God, it says, but whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall thirst. Salakia. But whoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water, springing up into everlasting life.
And that's what Yahushua is trying to say. Because people had actually forgotten, maybe somewhere down the line, exactly what that water is. You know, John 6:63 says, these words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. But what else are they defined as? You know?
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 119, verses 9. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his ways? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his ways? By taking heed unto according to thy word.
Fine. So even in the same way that Isaiah would say that, Isaiah 1 would say that is, wash you, make you clean, put away the evil of your doings from before my eyes, cease to do evil. We're supposed to wash ourselves. It says, wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his ways? It's with this water. This water right here is the same water that Yahushua is talking about. It's talking about the word of the Most High. The waters of the same, down to the same waters of life that sprang up in that spirit of wisdom that he put on Adam. That very same water. So now that water comes again. It comes again and again and again. The same way That's how a young man cleanses his ways. That's how you put away the evil of your doings from the Most High, by taking heed of this wisdom, this so-called water of life. Because, hey, you got to stay moisturized, right? Same way that down in Ezekiel 37, that valley of dry bones, when he spoke that word, when he prophesied to that wind, when he prophesied to those dry bones, flesh and sinew and muscle tissue was put back on them. So anybody who hungers and thirsts for righteousness, again, you shall be filled.
It says, with my whole heart have I sought thee. Oh, let not, Salakia, oh, let me not wander from thy commandments.
And when you hunger and thirst for righteousness, when you seek him with your whole life, the same way that the Most High says to love him with all of your heart, with all of your soul, then seek him daily. And on top of that, just seek him with your whole heart. Find out, hunger and thirst for righteousness. Find out how to do right in God's sight. Find out what pleases him. And naturally, that's the law, statutes, and commandments. His commandments, his will is in our heart. Same way it was in David's heart when he wrote Psalms. You know? And don't wander off from the commandments. It's like when a kid goes wandering off. We go off of the way. What does it say about that in Proverbs? That a man that wanders out of the way of understanding ends up in the congregation of the dead. Even in a physical aspect, what? A kid that wanders off in the market gets snatched up. And what happened to Israel? What happened to the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? We wandered off and we got snatched up. Ain't that crazy? But as long as we hunger and thirst for righteousness, as long as we keep his law, statutes, commandments, and as long as we seek wisdom to avoid the potholes that he said avoid, then we might just prolong our lives that much longer. And on top of that, these are the ways of life that we are going to pass on to every man, woman, and child across the world once this world is reestablished in righteousness. But we have to overcome ourselves first.
That's right.
We have to overcome ourselves and thus overcome the world. And once we overcome the world, it's not the world that's bringing its influence on us. It's us that's bringing our influence on the world. That's a powerful thing. To know that by the end of it, 144 righteous men, plus Yahushua, doing the will of the Most High, is going to wash over this world and reestablish it in righteousness. Man, if that don't set nobody on fire, I don't know, man.
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 22, verses 14. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have right to the tree of life, and may enter through the gate into the city.
Oh, okay. Now that's good stuff, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, because that's really good. But we're getting there. So you got John 7?
John 7:1. This is the book of John, chapter 7, verse 37. And it says, in the last day, the great day of the feast, Jesus stood and cried, saying, if any man thirst, let him come unto me and drink. He that believeth on me, as the scripture hath said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water.
Naturally. And why not? After all, Yahushua was given the Spirit without measure. He was here to do the will of the Father. Not to destroy the law, but to fulfill. Letting us know that heaven and earth will pass away, probably one day, probably one far distant day, but his word will never ever go away. And what else can we do but do the same?
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 18. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled.
All will be fulfilled. And like I said before, there are commandments in here that will be perpetually fulfilled, just like everything else. So it never ends.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 5, verse 6. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled.
All right, we're a broken record here. All right. But anyway, the whole point is that we hunger and we thirst for righteousness because, yes, with a perpetual commandment, we get perpetual fulfillment. And we get what? Everlasting life. Con? Alright. Because that's the life that we're trying to prolong. When we do good out here, when we do commandments, when we do righteousness, when we do even the basic 10 of not stealing, not lying, not doing adultery, not having any other God, when we're out here not freaking murdering each other, we are prolonging our lives. And that's all that we need to do is pass down to our children. Keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and we will prolong our lives.
This is the book of Baruch, chapter 4, verse 1. This is the book of the commandments of God, and the law that endureth forever. How long? Forever. All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die.
I don't know how many more times we can reiterate this, but yes, the law, statutes, and commandments endure forever. And those that live by it come to life, and they give off life, and they give off that light, which gives people life. When you're in the dark, you don't know what's going to happen. You might go fall off a cliff. You might run into a ravenous beast. But when you have light, you see what's coming, at the very least. You know? Hey, at least if something bad's coming your way, you see that coming, and hey, that's your fate with the Most High, that's your fate with the Most High. But hey, at least you got light.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
And if we don't keep these laws, statutes, and commandments, as it says, those who keep this law, as they keep this law, statutes, and commandments, they come to life. Those that don't keep it shall die. And on top of that, it's not even just dying, but it's a spiritual death. When you want to live a life of ignorance and cursing, you find your way on your way to a very short-ass life.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 27, verse 26. Cursed be he that committeth not all the words of this law to do them. And all the people shall say, Amen.
If you don't confirm all the words of this law, you're going to find yourself in a curse, because there might be something you don't know about, and therefore life is going to sneak you one. Hey, pow! That's it. Life's going to sneak you one. Life's going to send you something bad your way that if you had the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of, you would otherwise know how to avoid. But you're going to hold that, and we're going to get back on point. Because then it says, anybody that hungers and thirsts for righteousness, they'll be fulfilled. Yahushua said, Isaiah 61, Revelation 21:6. And Yahushua also said, if any man hungers and thirsts, let him come to me. Because he's here to do the will. He's got the knowledge. He's got the wisdom. He's got the understanding. He's got the spirit without measure. There ain't nothing he don't know. But on top of that, there are some things he didn't know, like he said, what, the day of his return? No man knows the hour. God. Fair to say. But he knew a hell of a lot about the law and the will of the Father. And if anybody needed to know that, he was glad to teach. Can't imagine what it would be like to be one of the disciples by his side. But as we do, what does that lead on down to the end when it comes to this water that's supposed to be this water that is supposed to fulfill those that are that hunger and thirst for righteousness? How does this water look in the end?
This is the book of Revelations, chapter 21, verse 6. And he said unto me, it is done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is a thirst of the fountain of the water of life freely.
When everybody hungers and thirsts for righteousness, that's what that living water, that wisdom. That's what he's out here dispensing. And by the end of it, Yahushua says, if anybody hungers and thirsts for righteousness, if anybody still needs those waters of life, he will give it to them freely. And the crazy part is, us growing up in this truth, we are growing. What then do we become when we are given the waters of life? When we are freely given that water of life because we hunger and thirst for it. And going back is what I've been talking about buying the truth and selling it not, about letting your light shine before men. Because this is what we do, this is the effect we have, and it is freely given.
That's right.
How can anybody else want to stay in a life of cursing when you could be living a life of blessing? And all you have to do is go in the right way. Seek the old paths. So when we get this waters of life, we stick to the law, statutes, and commandments, and we get the life that comes with it, and we grow in this truth, what does that do for us? What does the Spirit of the Lord do for us?
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 61 from the top. The Spirit of the Lord Yahweh is upon me, because the Lord Yahweh have anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He have sent me to bind up the brokenhearted.
We're here to preach good tidings unto the meek, to let the meek, those that are a little bit submissive, a little bit receptive enough to actually listen. That's our meekness. So he's saying he's preaching good tidings to the meek. You're listening, you're receptive, you're here being patient. Well, I'm letting you know that good tidings are coming your way. Somebody that isn't meek, somebody that is ignorant, somebody that wants to give up on this, they don't want to hear about those good tidings. They just want to go and get their own, and they want to go transgress any way they can to get it. But no, the meek are going to sit here, listen, and receive.
That's right.
It says,
And we're going to bind up the brokenhearted. I know it may hurt right now, but it ain't going to hurt for much longer.
He has sent me to bind the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound.
Liberty to the captives. There's going to be a time where we can be so much more free than we are now. Right now, we haven't exactly seen it in this area. Lord willing, we don't, but you know what? His will be done either way. But right now, all these damn Trump policies are getting enacted, talking about anything that sounds anti-American, anything that sounds anti-Christian, even though we know Christianity is so damn far removed from the Bible. Trust and believe that. These churches are duping you. But does that mean the Bible is duping you? Hell no, God forbid. But we're here to proclaim liberty to the captives, and we're captive right now. Because right now there are so many things here in America that you can get punished for. Right now, they're just really just trying to work on just abolishing the First Amendment altogether. There's going to come a time where these prophets out here trying to, these mighty righteous brethren out here trying to give you wisdom and understanding, trying to give you some hope, trying to give you trying to give you a better option. It can't rain every day. Bad news can't last forever.
That's right.
So there will be a comfort that comes to those that mourn in Zion. But let's go over it again.
God, it says,
To appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness.
Garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. We may be going through some real heaviness right now, but we will be given a garment that will allow us to have our praise. That we will know that it was not all for nothing. That this is just the patience and the faith that we have to keep. And it will come. Even if it comes after our lifetimes, we'll still see it. God has never made a broken promise. Huh?
God,
That they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord Yahweh, that he might be glorified.
Planning of the Lord Yahweh, that he might be glorified. And what will we be called in the end? We will be called trees of righteousness, because we have been fed that living water that has allowed us to grow. That waters of life that Christ has been talking about, that he's been talking about since John 4, that he said that if any man hungers and thirsts for righteousness, let him come to me. That's in Matthew 5, that's in John 7:37. If anybody hungers and thirsts for righteousness, let him come to me.
And then he talks about anybody who drinks of this water, they're just going to thirst again. But anybody who drinks of my water, they'll never thirst again. That's what he's talking about. And in the end of Revelation, he says anybody who's athirst for this water of life, they'll be given to it freely. All right, great. And by the end of that, it says that we will be made. Give me a phone. That by the end of it says that we will be those trees of righteousness. This is the patience and the faith that we need to have so we can become those trees of righteousness. And what happens with trees of righteousness? They bear fruit. They bear fruit. And it's a lovely and beautiful thing. And by the end of this, I want to bear fruit. I want my brothers to bear fruit. I want all 12 nations of Israel by the end of this to bear fruit so that way we can finally do as the first few chapters of Genesis said. We can be fruitful, we can multiply, and we can replenish the earth.
That's right.
And it's a wild time we're living in right now because Trump is trying to take over the Western Hemisphere. He said he's going to fuck up Mexico. He said he's going to take over Greenland. He's going to go into places where there's just nothing but beautiful wildlife, beautiful landscapes, and he's going to start digging it all up, and he's just going to he's going to tear apart this earth. And right now, the so-called Christian nation that backs that, I'll say it, that ugly-ass pedophile, they're doing the exact opposite. They are not replenishing the earth. And it's going to be on us by the end of this time. By the end of their world and the start of ours, it's going to be on us to replenish the earth. You know what? For the next 1,000 years after Esau's world ends, we're going to have a lot of work to do. And to be quite honest, for something as beautiful as replenishing the earth, I'm looking forward to it. I hope you guys are too. And with that,
You want me to line up?
I'm going to yield.
You got time with us, That's the biggest lesson I had. I do. I really want to be there to stay ready. Hey, let the Spirit. What time we got? 30 minutes. Yeah, a little bit up past 30 minutes.
So once again, all honor, glory, and praises to the Most High God. Sekal Halal Yahweh Bahashim Mashiach Yahweh Shah. And like I said, I yield. Gonna pass it on to the next powerful speaker.
Oh, shit. I'm just saying. I don't know if you want to do it. You don't know if you're Aaron. You might want to abstain from that. Huh? You might want to abstain from that. You can't light a kindle fire on the 7th.
Yeah, let's look into whether or not we can kindle a fire for incense on the Sabbath.
Are you an Aaronite? It speaks about Aaron. I don't know. You confident that you're Aaron? Go ahead.
I'm pretty sure he's Aaron. He's an Aaronite.
Whatever
Okay.
you feel. I'm just telling you. I'm just throwing the warning out there. It's up to you.
Look, if anybody can do the oracles of God the same way that, you know, they're over here doing the duties on, the same way that they're doing the duties on the friggin' the Passover, then let's say that's fine. It's a good thing you didn't do. You probably would have dropped dead. So with that intermission, while we wait for the next powerful speaker, let's go over a little quick jog here, a little quick lesson here in Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, about what it means to break bad habits, about what it means to pursue righteousness, to do any of these things that you might feel like you're either too lazy or too uncomfortable to do. The key term here is discipline. It's one thing that not a lot of churches are teaching, is how to have discipline for the things that may not always feel good to your life, but they are also going to be the most beneficial. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, verses, where you want to start at? 12? 17. This is the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 6, verse 12. Wisdom is glorious and never fadeth away. Yea, she is easily seen of them that love her, and found of such as seek her. So, hey, it's actually funny how that works, because that actually really lines up with Matthew 7. Wisdom is glorious. And as, you know, our priest Yash used to say, well, wisdom is the baddest chick you ever known. You gotta make wisdom your main squeeze.
That's right.
He said. So that's who we gotta seek. And she says she is found by those that seek her. Naturally. Naturally. You say, I like this certain type, you're gonna find that, you're gonna look for that certain type. And that one's going to stand out to you. But as long as we make wisdom our certain type, then wisdom shall be found. On. It says, she preventeth them that desire her, in making herself first known unto them. It says, whoso seeketh her early shall have no great travail, for he shall find her sitting at his door. Anybody who seeks wisdom early, later down the pathway, shall have no great travail. They shall have no great travail. They won't have that many problems going on. They won't have that many problems going on because they saw wisdom early. What they say, my mama warned me about people like you. So that's how we do it. We seek this wisdom, therefore we find preventative measures to problems that may come up in the future. Now, it might not just talk about every practical situation that we run into, but it is going to talk about the type of spirits that we're going to encounter. And that is something that we want to avoid. Things that may take us off of our trodden path. And our path that we're trotting on right now is seeking the kingdom. Anybody that tries to take us off that path, man, that's somebody I want to avoid.
Good.
Anybody that says, hey, come over here, man. I got this crack rock. Hell no. To think therefore upon her is perfection of wisdom, and whosoever catcheth Salakia. To think therefore upon her is perfection, wisdom, and whoso watcheth for her shall quickly be without care. To think therefore upon wisdom is the perfection of wisdom. And we know that to be perfect in the Bible is not to say that we're going to be flawless, but it is going to say that perfection is the pursuit, in its definition, the pursuit of completion.
That's right.
So we are seeking completeness. We are seeking fulfillment of life. And we are seeking that in our wisdom. And we do that in our reflection, in our studying, in our learning, in our retrospect, our hindsight of wisdom. If we learn before the situation, or maybe sometimes we got to go through it and we learn after the situation. And wisdom will always be posted up right there once we find it. Once we just have that mind blow, what I like to call a mental breakthrough. Went through a situation myself the other week. I had a brother around and I was able to vent to him. And, once I was starting to talk to him about it, I just had that mental breakthrough. As I wanted to tell him, as he says it sounds better, I had that spiritual clarity. How can I look for this in a place of my captivity? How can I look for this certain thing when the fact that Israel has been provoking the Most High and has not been a good wife to him?
Right.
So how then can I expect to find the same thing? And ultimately, in perspective, that was the wisdom I had. That was the fundamental breakthrough that I was finding out. In order for us to have the things that we want in life, that first, we got to make Yahweh our desire first and foremost.
That's right.
And all he wants is his wife to come home. All he wants is his children to come home. So therefore, this perfection of wisdom, as long as we pursue this, we are going to find completion. Because as long as we seek the kingdom, as it says, all else will be added unto us. So as long as we reflect on the wisdom that the Most High gives us, you know, wiser, better decisions, and better results will come our way. Huh? When you find yourself without care, because you don't have to take so much precautionous, extra special care, you don't necessarily have to, you don't have to tiptoe around a floor full of broken glass if you just go around it. Practical example. Moving on. On, it says, to think there, Salakia, for she goeth about seeking such as are worthy of her, showeth herself favorable unto them in the ways, and meeteth them in every thought. She shows herself favorable to those that seek this wisdom in every way, meeting them in every thought. We've been over this a couple of times, a couple of Wednesdays. We've been telling people, okay, you know, you can find yourself in a lot of situations in these streets. You know, you can be like those downtown folk who don't even respect the red light, and you can just go walk out in the middle of the street. You can go find out whether or not this car's going to run you over or not. Or you can be wise about things, have your patience, wait till the light turns green. There's plenty of practical situations, but that's just one. The point is, every situation you run into, you are going to have an opportunity to handle it wisely, or you're going to have an opportunity to handle it foolishly. Those that seek wisdom, wisdom meets them in every thought. They make wiser choices. They get better results.
That's right.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 33, verse 1. There shall no evil happen unto him that feareth the Lord, but in temptation, even again, he will deliver him.
Nothing bad is going to happen to those that fear the Lord, because to fear the Lord, to respect the Lord, is the beginning of wisdom. That wisdom that gets dispensed unto you, therefore, you know what to avoid and you know what to do. You know, you got your do's, you got your do-nots. And therefore, you get Yahweh's protection because you have the wisdom to know better, therefore do better. And that's how we got to keep it. Got to keep it a buck.
God.
It says, Salakia, for the very true beginning of her is the desire of discipline, and the care of discipline is love, and love is keeping her laws. The very true desire of wisdom starts with the desire of discipline. And that discipline is actually having the spirit that the Most High puts on you, Lord willing. The Lord willing, that the spirit that the Most High puts on you to say, damn, whoever this is, this motherfucker spitting, let me sit down, let me listen to him. Anyway, it's a lot. Whole point is, if you have this wisdom, if you have this discipline to sit down, to listen to somebody, and actually receive the wisdom it is that they are trying to dispense to you, mind you, for your own good, the same way, many times throughout the Bible, the Most High makes it very clear to us that this wisdom and this knowledge, this understanding, these laws, statutes, and commandments that he is dispensing to us to make us a mighty, righteous, powerful nation is only for our own good, and therefore, like I said, as an influence reverberates, and it is for the good of the whole world. Khan, we got that clear understanding? So therefore, that is what we keep, and if we have the discipline to receive it, then we'll have the discipline to dispense it. And then those that have this meekness, those that have this discipline, they're going to be the ones to receive it, and life will be added unto them.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 33, verse 3. A man of understanding trusteth in the law, and the law is faithful unto him as an oracle.
The law is faithful unto him as an oracle. As an oracle, okay, you know, let's say something that people know about, the movie The Matrix. Okay, anytime Neo saw wisdom, he went to the oracle, and that oracle was there to freely give him a better picture of understanding, even if not every message was clear, but still was able to help him make his next decision. And the oracles that we're talking about here are the laws of God. If you are ever in doubt, if you're ever unsure about your next step, if you're ever unsure about how to go about things a certain way, then we have the laws of God here for that very purpose. What to eat, what not to eat, how to treat people, you know, how to handle things civilly, how to handle things in terms of law, in terms of accusation, in terms of counsel, in terms of how to just, let's say, like I said, if there's an accusation, let there be 2 or 3 witnesses. Let's observe the whole matter. Let's come together. What does it say in Isaiah? Let's come and reason together.
That's right.
We don't just start mouthing off, and we don't just start flailing arms. We reason together. This is the wisdom that the Most High has given us. The Most High has given us civility. But anybody who, as you know, as it says with that, and what was it? Job 28:28. Man, if we had this, yeah, go ahead and get it. If we had this understanding, we would then depart from evil. And if we had understanding, we would want to understand each other, and therefore we would depart from evil. We would depart from savage ways. And especially, Lord knows our people need that. Let us depart from savage ways, please. This is the book of Job, chapter 28, verse 28. And unto man he said, Behold, the fear of the Lord Yahweh, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. Yeah, the fear of the Most High is the beginning of wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding. Because as long as we have his teachings, and we know what not to do, and we know to cease to do evil, and put away the evil of our doings from before his eyes, and know this, as it says in Sirach, Most High's eyes are 10,000 times brighter than the sun. There is nothing we can do to avoid him seeing what it is that we do. Therefore, let us just not do it. And Yahushua takes that one step further to say, let us not even think it.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 34, verse 15. Blessed is the soul of him that feareth the Lord, to whom doth he look, and who is he strengthened. Salakia. I lost it. Oh, here it is. 16. For the eyes of the Lord are upon them that love him. He is their mighty protection and strong stay, and defense from the heat, and cover from the sun at noon.
So that the eyes of the Lord are upon those that do his will, essentially. Naturally, as it says with John, you know, anybody who is a sinner, is just an active sinner, who doesn't make any freaking attempts to change anything, God is not hearing their prayers. But anybody that does his will and is his follower and worships him by doing his will, it says those that love him. And we know, as with 1 John, that those who keep the commandments, that is the love of God. As long as we do his will by keeping his commandments, God will hear us. And we will not be seen as sinners, but we will be seen as doers of his law, followers, worshipers of righteousness. And God will have his sight and his protection fixed upon us.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 35, verse 3.
And the same way that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, we're still talking about the discipline of getting wisdom. And therefore, like I said, wise choices, better results.
To depart from wickedness is a thing pleasing to the Lord.
Lord loves it when you stop doing evil and destroying the body that he gave you.
And to forsake unrighteousness is a propitiation.
To forsake righteousness is propitiation.
Thank you, appreciate it, appreciate it.
Thank you very much. You drink it first and then we'll see. To forsake unrighteousness is a propitiation. There is nothing, you have nothing to lose by giving up unrighteousness, and you have everything to gain. The fact of the matter is, like we said, it's a matter of patience and faith of the saints. You can be wicked and get whatever you want in the short term, but the fact of the matter is, just like everybody else out here, everybody who goes to the damn club every week and trust and believe, we see the same faces every time. I tell you, it's somewhere down the line it's going to get tiring. But the whole point is that these people come to this club every week to find some type of sense of fulfillment. To them, this environment is their fulfillment. But the fact of the matter is, just like Yahushua said in John 4, man, anybody who drinks of that nasty ass water over there, they're always going to thirst.
Right.
But if you stop, if you put away the evil of your doings from before the Most High, if you cleanse your ways, and if you have the discipline to say, I want to change, and cleanse your ways, and keep to it, and stay away from temptation, then you'll get a lot more fulfillment out of it. You won't need to go here, go there, eat this, eat that, take this drug, smoke that drug. You won't need to do these things, because the spiritual fulfillment, the rebalancing of your life is going to be back on track. This is why we seek the Most High. This is why we seek His wisdom. And this is why we seek the kingdom, knowing that all else will be added unto us.
Right.
Because, hey, it may be bad now, but the Most High, and this is one thing I gotta keep remembering every time I go through some hell, just a little bit of hell, a little bit, is that if the Most High made His promise for His people to go into captivity for disobeying His commandments, if He kept that promise of captivity, then He's going to keep His promise of freedom.
That's right.
And if freedom means having a little bit of discipline to obtain wisdom and let my light shine before men as a positive influence, that is such a small price to pay. No matter how much the world wants to multiply that pain, it's still very small. It's still a very small price compared to the kingdom that He has waiting for us, and I'm all for it, huh?
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 35, verse 16. He that serveth the Lord shall be accepted with favor, and his prayer shall reach unto the clouds.
He that is accepted of the Lord shall be accepted of His favor. Who that does His will, and his prayer shall reach to the clouds. A lot of people's prayers don't get off the ground.
Right.
But naturally, like it says, man, what is it, Proverbs 13? Talking about he that turns his ear away from hearing the law, his prayer shall be an abomination. You know what I'm saying? He's coming for that cluster of grapes. That means the rest of that gotta be. And that's the whole point of 1 John 5 and 2 and 3. Verse 2, verse 3 is that we know we love the children of God. Like
I said, man, we stay a sweet, sweet grape. When we love the children of God and we keep His commandments. And it said that is the love of God. That we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous. It's not a difficult thing to do. It's not a difficult thing to call up your people and let them know that you're thinking about them. It's not a difficult thing to
No, he does that work. He has to project.
It's not a difficult thing to keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God. It's not a difficult thing to keep the commandments and show yourself for man. It's not a difficult thing to at least take some time out of your day, a few minutes, maybe even a few hours if you feel like it. It's not a difficult thing to meditate on this law day and night.
Right.
To have a new idea, to have new understanding. As one of our old brothers said, man, the wisdom of the Most High is like an onion, man. Every time you think you've covered every corner of it, you end up peeling back another layer. You find new wisdom, and it makes you cry. God. And that's the whole thing about it. Yeah? You should never want to stop seeking wisdom. The same way that that so-called scientists of the last century or two talked about the idea that a knowledgeable person knows that the pursuit of knowledge never really ends. So the pursuit of wisdom never really ends. And that's just what we got to be seeking. We should always be seeking wisdom, the same way that it shows itself favorably in the ways. As long as we seek it, we receive it. And that is also a part of the fear in the Most High God being the beginning of wisdom. If we keep this life and this blessing, if we keep these commandments, life will be added unto us. So seeking wisdom perpetually is a part of seeking that everlasting life. Good.
I mean, you gotta project, man.
Good. Let's go.
This is the book of Luke, chapter 6, verses 46 in the Good News Translation.
Bring it out.
Why do you call me Lord, Lord, and yet don't do what I tell you? Anyone who comes to me and listens to my word and obeys them, I will show you what he is like. He is like a man who is building his house, dug deep, laid the foundation on rock. The river flooded over and hit that house, but could not shake it because it was well built. But anyone who hears my words and does not obey them is like a man who built his house without laying a foundation. When the flood hit that house, it fell at once, and what a terrible crash that was.
Essentially, that's the part of it. And let's go back to the first start of that verse, saying, why does everybody call him Lord if they don't do what it is that he said? It's funny about that personal testimony, man. I posted up in a group of my people. Yeah, a lot of them understood. And then another one, they were over here saying what? It's a group of some fake-ass Christians, fake-ass religious denominations. And they want to talk about, man, that's weird. That's weird to me. It's noise to them. They say, man, I want to keep that bacon, egg, and cheese. I want to keep that Christian diet. I'm like, no, that's not a Christian diet.
Right.
A Christian is a follower of Christ, and Christ kept the law.
That's right.
So, therefore, it's not a Christian diet to have a bacon, egg, and cheese. All right? It's an American diet. You are conflating the American way with the ways of righteousness, and I'm telling you right now, you couldn't be more wrong.
Right.
Unlike some of y'all, we keep the commandments over here. We do what God said. We do what Christ said. And that's how we handle it.
So you got some? I've got some. Okay. I did.
And that, moving on, that is also what it was talking about over here. Anybody who actually does what Yahushua said, says that it's like a man that built his house on a foundation. He had solid ground beneath him. So that way, no matter what comes his way, floods, storms, hurricanes, whatever, it stays locked in. Imagine just like these trees here, taking the very supports of your house and driving them in the ground, driving them into rock. So that way, no matter what happens, these structures don't move because you drove your house into foundation. And that's how you stick. That's how you stick when you're over here sticking to the law, statutes, and commandments. So then, if you're over here building your house on sand, if you're over here not doing what your house has said, if you're over here making excuses and thinking that the ways of the very Bible is the ways, you're complaining with the ways of foolishness, geez, let's get that. Somebody get that? Isaiah 5. It was either Isaiah 8 or it was Isaiah 5. Woe to he that calls light for darkness, and darkness for light. Woe to he that calls good evil, and evil good. That's it. Isaiah 5. You're gonna take it.
Woe to him that calls good evil and evil good. Isaiah 5 and 20. Here you go. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 5, verses 20. This is for anybody out there. How you feeling, man? Want to hear the word?
This is for anybody out there with that ass backward Christian mindset over here, thinking that they can just do whatever and that they've already been absolved of something that they never even tried to overcome. When you're over here thinking that the very ways of the Bible is foolishness, but the ways of America is right. And like I said, you just couldn't be more wrong. What does the Bible say about thinking backwards about the ways of righteousness?
God, it says, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil.
Destruction unto them that call evil good and good evil.
That put darkness for light and light for darkness.
To say that the ways of your savagery, the ways of your heart, the ways that aren't even so much as lined up with the Most High, you're going to conflate that with light. And we know that the law is light. And you're going to say that the law is light being darkness? And that the ways of being a savage-ass fool is the right way?
God,
Destruction unto you.
that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter.
And you want to say that something as sweet and as good and as life-prolonging as the commandments is something that is just bitter. It's bitter to you because you're a wild animal, because you've been having these ways of America, these ways of Babylon for as long as things have been around. And you want to say that that way is better for you, even though we have so much testimony in here about people that have lived that life and have been destroyed by it.
Good.
So then how can you say that that's the right way? Man, I don't even know why I get involved, man. I can't argue with a fool. Here you go.
This is the book of Psalms.
What?
This is the book of Psalms, chapter 118, verse 8. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in man. It is better to trust in the Lord than to put confidence in princes.
God, it is better to trust the Lord than to put confidence in man. It is better to trust who the Most High, who even made the concept of wisdom to begin with, who told you since the beginning. And he didn't need a scientific explanation, but to tell you why the freaking pig was unclean to you to begin with. But he still at least explained it a little bit, saying that the pig is still unclean to you. Therefore, don't do it. That's all he needed to say. He doesn't have to elaborate. He's God. He made good and bad. He made light and darkness. He made clean and unclean. Who are we to say what's clean and unclean? Just because man went the distance to make the process.
God, this is the book of Jeremiah. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verses 5. Thus says the Lord Yahweh, cursed be the man that trusteth in man and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Lord Yahweh.
Cursed be the man that trusts in man and makes flesh his arm, talking about, I'm just going to do things by man-made means. And that it's all me, and that there's, that's man putting himself up there with God.
Good.
Because we know in the book of Deuteronomy, he says that I am he, and that there is no
None
God
else.
with me up here. There's none else.
Good.
And now man wants to say that I am he, and that there's no God here with me. What kind of arrogance is that?
Bring it out.
Disgusting. So it says you make flesh your arm, but what else does it say? It says you're going to be out there like a desert, man. You're going to be out there and there's going to be no water to you. And essentially, you know what? In a physical aspect as well as a spiritual aspect. Like we said, Proverbs says anybody who wanders out of the way of understanding remains in the congregation of the dead. You're going to be out there and somewhere and parched. You're going to be out there and it's going to feel like a desert because you have no waters of life. And it's going to be a damn shame. It's going to be a detriment unto anybody else that doesn't want to live this way. It's just going to be nothing but woe to you.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 3, verse 1. What advantage then hath the Jew? Or what profit is there of circumcision? Much in every way, chiefly because unto them were committed the oracles of God.
What advantage then does an Israelite have? And to what profit is it of circumcision? What profit is it of circumcision of the heart? What profit is it to actually follow the ways of God and commit yourself to it, essentially? What profit is it to change your ways? And it says, much every way, because his ways of righteousness naturally are the ways of life. Right. This is what we have going on here. This is what he's been saying since he made the covenant. That seek life. How you doing, sir? What's up? How you doing? Anything up here interest you?
Hey, yo, sir. Can you hear? He's talking to you.
Hello. Anyway, back to our lesson. What is it? What profit does it have for an Israelite to have this circumcision of the heart? What profit is there for a man to keep the commandments? I mean, that's got to be an obvious question that doesn't need any answer. Because you have to ask yourself, what profit is there to follow the ways of life? I can't believe we're asking this question somewhere down the line in the New Testament.
No, bro. It's about to wrap up.
Much every way.
Oh, man. Thank you, Og. Oh. Okay, how do I...
How you gonna live?
How do I do this now?
How you gonna live?
Rock Y.
The live is still going?
Yeah, how do I...
Close it.
Let's see.
Nothing about them.
You sure you want to stop streaming? So your phone works by swiping left. You don't have a back button. You just swipe left or right off the screen right here like this.
Okay.
So yeah, we're done.